The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games is missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers now. We won't waste any time. You guys see that big news on the board. Manny Pacquiao, Terence Crawford in talks to fight in June. June 5th to be exact was the proposed date and the date that was reported by The Athletic this past afternoon. Now, let's take a moment to digest this because obviously this rumor is going to be met with a lot of skepticism, and it should be. It really should be when it comes to boxing fans, because Terence Crawford, for as great of a fighter as he is, has never had the luxury, the opportunity to be in a fight, a blockbuster marquee fight of this magnitude. So, you know, excuse us boxing fans for a bit cynical. Now, they say good things come to those who wait, and Terence Crawford has waited and waited and waited, and he's fought the Mean Machines and the Kell Brooks and the Amir Khans of the world, you know, and all Jeff Horn, all these guys, and he's finally. It looks like he might just be in prime position to get the fight that he's been looking for all these years, you know. So, you know, a lot of people are gonna be skeptical about it, and they should be. But I'm choosing to be optimistic because I think there's a big chance this fight gets over the line. And I'm gonna give you guys my reasoning. I won't just be Mr. Sunshine and Rainbows, okay? First and foremost, Bob Arum did say in the beginning of the week that there was going to be a big pay-per-view announcement. Now, he still hasn't formally announced a big pay-per-view announcement yet, but this is being reported by a reliable source within the world of boxing and sporting news, which is The Athletic. Shout out to The Athletic. So there's reason to believe that these reports could be true. That's number one. Number two, another reason why this fight might be happening is because we all know that Manny Pacquiao demanded a big lump sum of money to fight Terence Crawford. You know, a lump sum of money which I think he deserves. You know, this could be his last fight. Win or lose, it could be his last fight. And he wants $40 million. Now, we know with this whole global pandemic, so to speak, going on, that there's not many places in the world that any fighter could fight at and command that kind of money. But one of the countries that has shown that they're willing to pay that kind of money for fighters to come fight in their country is all these Middle Eastern countries, like your Saudi Arabias, like your Dubais, and, you know, your UAEs, and all those countries, you know. So, you know, Manny Pacquiao wants that demand met. He deserves to have that demand met, and I think fighting in the United Arab Emirates is somewhere that Manny Pacquiao can have that demand met. So if that demand can get met, that clears one roadblock, and it also will allow them to compensate Terence Crawford nicely. Terence Crawford will get a career high payday, which he deserves, because for everything he's done in the sport, for the sport, and you know, just for getting to the point he's at in his career where he's arguably the pound for pound fighter in boxing. I mean, the guy went from fighting your Andres Gorgeous Georges of the world on Brandon Rios undercards, you know, fighting out of obscurity, getting through lawsuits, getting shot in the head, you know, not being able to get the big fight for so long. So if he gets to this point where he gets this fight, he deserves a nice payday. So that's definitely number you know, that's definitely another reason right there. And, you know, Terence Crawford, you know, and this comes back to Errol Spence, right? And listen, we have given Terence Crawford a lot of shit recently, just to say, I'm sorry to curse, but like to say it bluntly, I've given him a lot of criticism recently for his recent comments towards Errol Spence, not saying he want to take 50-50, and for him saying Vergil Ortiz isn't ready. You know, I've been given for the first time probably in his whole boxing career, I have actually criticized Terence Crawford, which has never happened on this channel, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you this: my right hand is on the Bible, and I'll speak the truth. You know, it's right here. If you don't listen, my Bible's right here. My right hand is on the Bible. I speak the truth. If Terence Crawford makes this fight with Manny Pacquiao, if they get this over the line and this fight happens, then I repent. And I ask to be forgiven for all my sins of all the messed up things I said about Terence Crawford in my last live about him, because I was just frustrated. I want to see this guy get his chance, and I just looked at what he was saying towards Vergil Ortiz and Spence as him being a bit ridiculous and diva-like. But you know what? If he's not gonna chase the Spence fight, well, gosh darn it, this is a good reason why. This would explain why he hasn't cared about Spence. This would explain why he doesn't want to hear about Vergil Ortiz, because he's got, I wouldn't even say he's got bigger fish to fry. I would say he has the biggest fish to fry in Manny Pacquiao, because when we talk about Manny Pacquiao, we're talking about a global superstar, a worldwide icon, a future Hall of Famer. There is nobody, and I repeat, nobody, not Canelo, not Crawford himself, not my favorite fighter, Roman Cholatito, aka the real TBE. Nobody in boxing, not Tyson Fury, not Anthony Joshua, no active fighter in boxing has the resume, the legacy, or the accomplishments of Manny Pacquiao. And for Terence Crawford to finally get a fight like this and share the ring with him, that would mean everything to him. For his career, that would mean everything for where he's trying to go, and that would mean everything for people giving him the credit he deserves. Because whether you like it or not, you know, Manny Pacquiao, even at his advanced age of 42 years old, he's still one of the best and one of the most dangerous welterweights out there, and he is to be respected when we talk about the sport of boxing. So, you know, he's got to go in there and win to get that credit, because, truth be told, Manny Pacquiao will represent the first true A-level fighter of Terence Crawford's career. And there's going to be a lot of skeptics out there that don't think Terence Crawford can be Manny Pacquiao, and for good reason, because Pacquiao's a damn good fighter, even now at his age. So I hope this is true. I hope Bob Arum isn't just doing this to the boxing fans so that he can go tell us that Terence Crawford's going to fight Custio Clayton on ESPN+. You know, I hope that's not the case. I hope Bob Arum isn't doing this so he can use it as leverage to say, oh, well, we tried to make the Pacquiao fight happen, but it didn't happen because, you know, whatever. You know, I don't want to hear that. This news has leaked out there from a reliable source. Earlier in the week, you hinted at a pay-per-view fight happening. There really aren't any pay-per-view fights that are worthy for Terence Crawford outside of this fight. This has to happen. This has to happen. And like I said, if it does happen, and this is the reason why he was acting, then I truthfully apologize and I repent for everything I said wrong about Terence Crawford in my last live, because he's not a fighter that deserves much criticism. But us as boxing fans, sometimes we're not privy to all the information, and we don't see the whole picture. We just know what we're fed and what we can read out there. So, you know, it is what it is, man. But I'm happy. I'm hoping this happens. So I'm gonna definitely keep my ears to the streets, listening for that fight news, because this is a fight that Crawford needs, that the welterweight division needs, and that boxing needs. So you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single one of these videos. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just giving Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Last but not least, I missed this part before I ended the video. Another reason that I want this fight to happen, and that I'm praying to God it happens, is because Errol Spence Jr., Al Heyman, and all the PBC welterweights, they've all gotten together. They've all formed a little Girl Scouts club or Boy Scouts club, whatever you want to call it. You know, and they decided a long time ago they don't want no smoke with Terence Crawford, and they ducked this man for years, year after year after year. They've been ducking this man at welterweight. So it would just be so satisfying, and it would be the ultimate middle finger to all the PBC welterweights that ducked him, from Errol Spence talking about chickens and cows and hens and going on his ranch, and then he was talking about Terence, go get a belt, then we'll fight. Then Terence gets a belt. Then he says, oh, you're on the wrong side of the street. You gotta cross this side of the street. You know, he doesn't deserve a fight with Terence Crawford. Honestly, he really doesn't. You know, because he's been acting like such a buffoon for a while. And I just because I was mad at Terence the last live because of how he was talking to Virgil Ortiz, doesn't mean that I've let Errol Spence off the hook. He is the main reason why Terence has been in the position in the first place. So let's acknowledge that. Then you have Keith Thurman, didn't want no smoke with him. You have Sean Porter, who, oh my God, this guy Sean Porter, he has been the guy that's been willing to fight everybody. You know, he's been sitting comfortably in that #1 WBO position for a long time. Hasn't even tried to exercise mandatory status. Hasn't pushed for the WBO to mandate him as a challenger, you know, because he thinks he should get paid a retirement check to fight Terence Crawford, pretty much. So he's been ducking Terence Crawford, you know. Danny Garcia, I mean, I don't even need to mention Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is not even an elite welterweight enough for me to talk about him fighting Terence Crawford. These guys never want to know about Terence Crawford, and I think, you know, if this news is true, and I have to always say if because I just don't know, but it looks like, from the outside looking in, it looks like this is actually a thing that's being worked on, and it's a realistic thing. If Pacquiao versus Crawford happens June the 5th for the WBO welterweight title, you know, on ESPN pay-per-view, then that would just be the ultimate middle finger to Errol Spence Jr. and the whole PBC that they deserve, because they have been part of the whole pussification of the welterweight division, the softness of the welterweight division, the overhyped, overrated hype job welterweight division. And I will look at this fight right here. This fight right here, if it happens, so Bob Arum, I swear, Bob Arum, if this is not true, and I hear anything other than this fight, I'm going to go off like never before. This fight right here, if it happens, as far as I'm concerned, is the fight between the two best welterweights in the world. It really is. It really is. It's the guy who's the most accomplished in all of boxing, taking on the guy that's probably the most accomplished in the last 2 or 3 years in Crawford, who's been undisputed, scanning weight classes, has never in his entire career had a controversial fight. You know, has had a couple of semi-competitive fights, but nothing too close to where you could say, oh yeah, well, he got a good decision or the other guy could have won. No. When we talk about Terence Crawford, we talk about certainty, clarity, certainty, you know, definitive outcomes, stopping people. So, you know, as far as I'm concerned, whoever wins this fight, this is for the number one welterweight spot in the world, not Spence, because Spence disqualified himself from being the best welterweight a long time ago with his actions and him talking about chickens and hens and consistently moving the goalposts. First it was get a belt, then when he gets a belt, it was, you know, wrong side of the street. Then when it was wrong side of the street, it was, you know, he starts increasing and making more unrealistic purse demands, pricing himself out of a fight that, you know, really in actuality is a 50-50 fight, because Errol Spence ain't no megastar. He ain't no fucking megastar, all right? Truthfully speaking, I know people out there are going to say he's so more than Terence, but he's not a megastar to where he can demand those 70-30. So they needed each other. Errol didn't want to take it at the time. And if this news is true, this is just like the ultimate kill shot, middle finger to the entire PBC stable of welterweights, and that would just really make me happy, because how the PBC stable of welterweight has been acting over the last 2-3 years has been not just a disgrace to the welterweight division, but a disgrace to boxing at large. And they deserve they all deserve, all of them, you know, that haven't got a Pacquiao fight, excluding Thurman. All of them, like Porter, who was a Pacquiao sparring partner, and Spence, who wanted to fight Pacquiao, you know, and Danny Garcia, who's been rumored in Pacquiao fights for years. You know, these guys don't deserve nothing. So I hope Terence gets this fight, because if there's one guy that deserves that kind of fight on that kind of stage with that kind of payday, I mean, Terence Crawford, he gonna be getting that Arab money if they fight in the UAE. So, you know, this is like the most welcome news we could have got today. I'm just praying to God that it's true, and I'm gonna be reading this later on today and getting on my knees and praying to the good man upstairs that this is true, and that it gets over the line, and that both fighters get compensated highly, because Pacquiao deserves to get paid whatever he demands, and Crawford deserves a career high pay to himself. And just it's a great fight. You know, I can talk about the fight itself, but I just want to focus on the news and how it and just my thoughts on it. That's the news. I'm long-winded, but I'm long-winded because I'm excited. June 5th is the date they're talking about in the UAE, in the Middle East. Top rank ESPN pay-per-view. It's not official yet, so we can't get too excited, but that's what was revealed today. So you guys can give me your thoughts down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe, like I say in every single one of these videos. You can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.